you believe that crypto is a good thing or a bad thing. Really, that's the question. Raise your hand if you believe that crypto is a bad thing. Okay, that's good. That's good. Who believes that crypto and blockchain is really going to fundamentally change our society? Raise your hand if you believe that. Very good. For those who have not raised their hand, I hope I can change your mind by the end of this presentation. So I believe I started looking in crypto back in 2012. And over the years, I started building that view of how crypto and blockchain specifically is going to change our society. I believe there is a very strong correlation between autonomy, sovereignty, and centralization. The more centralization we have, we actually surrender more of our autonomy and sovereignty. And I will show you how it has progressed over the year. What if I tell you that this relationship, inverse relationship, is actually about to change? It will change because of the blockchain technology. Over the next few years, we will see that this blockchain and decentralized services that I will give you an overview on is really going to fundamentally rewire our civilization. And we will see how. But before I start going through this journey, which is actually the journey I have been through over the years, is what is sovereignty? Friedrich Nietzsche has some theological views. We're not going to go through that, but I really took four kind of elements of what sovereignty is. That any individual has authority and ownership. That person is responsible and accountable for the decisions. Most of us have that, and we think we have it. The last two, I believe, are very important. The authority and identity and sovereignty really transcends social and moral norms. That person doesn't believe in the status quo, doesn't believe in the norms of the society, and believes in something that is bigger than that. He wants or she wants to change society. And therefore, he or she builds their own identity and their own sovereignty and what a normal thing is. So that definition is what I ascribe to. You know who falls into these two categories? One is visionaries. Visionaries don't ascribe to the status quo. That's why they won't change things. They don't accept it. They want to change. And they have their own moral authority. They have their own views of the world. They have their own standards. The second category are crooks and thieves. They also are visionaries. They don't ascribe to the norms of society, and they want to change it. They rationalize their actions accordingly. So these are the two categories of people who fall into this, what Nietzsche called Übermensch, basically like the Superman, who doesn't accept reality, the current state, and wants to change it. So how does this have evolved over the last 15,000 years? Do you believe that we have lost or gained sovereignty over the evolution of our civilization? I believe we have lost tremendous amount of sovereignty and autonomy over the years. So let's see how. Before 10,000 years ago, we lived as individuals in small groups where there is no higher authority, there is no social structure. It was a hunter-gatherer community. And the way we exchange values, our ancestors have exchanged values, was through favors. I go out and hunt with someone else with the understanding that if I'm sick tomorrow, I can go hunt. But also there was bartering system among our ancestors. But then 4,000 years forward, when communities grow, tribes and chiefdom have appeared. We delegated some of this autonomy and sovereignty we have to the tribal chief, right? More structured and social structures in the social system have appeared. There is less autonomy because I surrendered some of my autonomy and my decision-making to the tribal chief. Value exchange became more standardized, more rare natural objects like seashells and so forth. And then came civilizations like the pharaohs. Pendulum swung to the other side where the pharaohs were viewed as gods. They had absolute control over resources and the lives of people who live under their protection. Governance systems started to appear. We lost a lot, our ancestors have lost a lot of their autonomy and sovereignty. When we got to the 15th century, populations grew, empires started to show up and appear, and then more centralized economic systems. We gave away a lot of that authority to the emperors, the rulers. And these centralized economic systems were mapped and put and applied in colonies where they have expanded their powers. So as you see, over the years, we started to gradually redefine what sovereignty and autonomy is. Until we came to the 19th century, when nation-states started to appear, the rise of capitalism and central banks started to materialize. Economic systems have become a lot more centralized, and we gave away our control of our destinies when it comes to financials. A lot of transactions were needed, where you need mediators and middlemen to transact, and we also lost a lot of our sovereignty and identity and autonomy. Until COVID came, what we have not imagined that's going to happen, actually happened. We found ourselves unable to fly to destinations unless we were vaccinated. We were stuck in our homes for weeks and months, unable to leave without the permission of the government. Just a few weeks ago, an article seemed benign on CNN, where there was an opinion piece where they were calling for carbon passport. A carbon passport, which means if I used a lot of gas already, so my carbon footprint have increased, I can't travel. Only those who have the money, who can buy carbon credit, can travel. So it's really 1984, George Orwell book becoming real. So as you see, there is an equation where for the price of prosperity and growth and evolution of our civilization, we're giving away a lot of this autonomy and sovereignty. Until came the concept of CDBC. Have you heard of CDBC? Central Bank Digital Currency. What is that? You currently have in bank accounts, you don't really use cash, you can transfer and wire money. But what central banks are saying is, it's going to be a programmable money, meaning every dollar, instead of having just a serial number, the government is able to program where that specific dollar can go. We will all have digital wallets where I have that dollar. The government can know which serial numbers I have in my digital wallet. If it's programmable money, they can control where that dollar is going to be spent. So if I'm fat and overweight and want to go and buy a bar of chocolate, seemingly the government can stop me from doing that. If I want to travel and I have already expended my credit, my carbon credit, I can buy a ticket to travel. That is what CDBC means. I'm sure someone would say, you crazy, you're just a conspiracy theorist. That's not my word. Have you heard of the Bank of International Settlement? That's a bank not too many people know about it. That's actually the central bank of central banks. Members of more than 85 countries. It's in Switzerland. All Western world central banks are members, and other countries. That's the president of the central bank. He's saying central banks will have control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of CDBC, and we will have technology to enforce that. That's what CDBC is. What does that mean? It means that over the years, over the last 15,000 years, we have given away a lot of authority to the middleman. That middleman is the government, is financial institutions, is any entity that stands between you and me if we want to do transaction, we want to exchange value, or we want to do anything. That's really what is happening over the past 15,000 years. So that middleman is even happening today with what we think. We never thought that's going to happen. When social media appeared, it was benign. What made social media very successful, I was able to communicate and engage with people very far away and build that small community. But once that middleman, the Facebook of the world, the Twitter of the world, that grew and became very powerful, they started censoring what we say and what we put and what we communicate with. So the message here is the bigger the middleman, more becomes powerful, the more rules that middleman puts in terms of how we engage and communicate with each other. So the question comes now is, can we transact directly among each other over the internet without that middleman? And that's the core of why blockchain, I believe, is going to change the way we interact amongst each other. Blockchain, in a nutshell, removes the middleman. That is why it's a big debate in financial institutions what to do about it. In 2013, they tried to kill it. They couldn't. The lesson is you cannot kill a technology that people want. That is why the revision is who used it, and it continues to evolve. Did you know it's actually a $2 trillion industry now? $2 trillion. It's not a small thing. Just a few years back, it was a couple of $100 million. So blockchain, in a way, is a technology. It allows us to put a ledger publicly on the internet, and it's protected by volunteers on the internet. You cannot turn it off. You have tens of thousands of computers out there that manages this. You cannot just turn it off like this. That records transaction between people in a democratic way, and they gamified it to allow people and give them incentive to participate in the protection of this network. So now you have a foundation called blockchain that would allow us to transact in terms of exchanging values. I recognize the power of blockchain when I did it just as an experiment. I opened an account in an exchange, crypto exchange, that was based in Hong Kong, and I had an account in Coinbase back in the US. I was able to transact and move a cryptocurrency from one account to the other across the globe in less than a second. Now, what if I want to do much more complex transaction than that? Comes the second layer that I think will be the second layer that is needed to bypass that middleman. What we call smart contracts is basically, with smart contract, you don't need the middleman. You can develop very complex systems that are decentralized, that are not managed by a certain person, that are managed on the network, that would give you that capability. The third layer, what if I want not one-on-one transaction, but a group of people want to organize on the internet to form like a group of a community or a company, what we call decentralized autonomous organizations. And you have now hundreds and hundreds of autonomous organizations. Just one recently wanted to buy a piece of art. They gathered, put their money on a smart contract. People never knew each other, but they had one goal. They want to go to Christie's and bid on a piece of art. So you can actually build very complex organizations now on the blockchain with these three layers. The blockchain as a first layer, second layer is the smart contract, the third layer is us grouping and develop a mechanism that we can govern our relationship even among people who don't know each other. So as you have seen over the past few minutes, that we really lost a lot of our autonomy and sovereignty over the years because we wanted to evolve as a civilization and build more complex systems to transact and engage, and therefore centralization has become a core of our civilization. I believe now with the blockchain technology and the layers that are built on it, people can transact and we can build institutions and services that where we don't need the middleman, so we can claim back our autonomy and sovereignty. I want to leave you with a final thought that really guided some of my decisions in terms of investments and where I should be investing for the future. If you really take a step back and look at the pattern, I believe the companies that build services that bring us back to what I call the digital tribes, meaning demolish all these barriers that we have built over the years, millennia, are the companies that really succeed. Airbnb is allowed me to share my resource with my peers. Although it has the centralization problem, but it's a service that collapsed some of the barriers that we have built over the years. Why do I need a hotel if I want to sit somewhere? I have a resource that I'm not using, I can share with my peers in a very secure environment. So generally, any service that demolishes and eliminates the barriers that we have built that would allow us to go to our roots the way we used to communicate has a more potential for success in the future. And with that, I would like to leave you with the message from the future. It has been really great to have seen you tomorrow, and thank you for your time.